everyone, Ben with Virtuous here, and we are going to talk about a couple of different tactics that you can start implementing to build out your recurring gift programs and ultimately, of course, get more recurring gifts. So I'm going to focus on two main entry points in our relationship building processes with our donors. That's going to be one, through the online giving experience, and then of course two, through those additional automated dynamic multi-channel communications through Virtuous Automation. So if we're thinking about those strategies outlined in the Virtuous Benchmark Report regarding recurring giving, the first one that we're thinking about is having that branded recurring giving community. And there's a couple of advantages to this, right? We're not just referencing, hey, here's the impact of your individual recurring support, but here's that broader impact of a whole recurring giving community. It allows that donor to be part of something and see the larger impact of really what this means across the organization and across the mission. An excellent square one to start there with is just by having a dedicated recurring giving page. So a couple of advantages here. You see I've built out an example. One, like we just said, referencing the larger, broader impact of that community, but more specifically, using language that is specifically about recurring giving, right? We're not talking about giving in general. We're being very targeted with what we're referring to. Now, in addition to that, right, not everybody is going to think about starting their giving journey just beginning with recurring support. It might not even cross some folks' minds. So instead of relying solely on that dedicated recurring gift page, we also want to keep in mind that on a giving page that does accept those one-time gifts, we can also have these recurring ask prompts. And these are basically interruptions. A little pause in that giving experience that says, hey, we really appreciate that one-time gift you're giving. Here's what the impact would be for a recurring gift of a little bit less. Would you consider that instead? And even just that little pause, that little interruption, we see a huge conversion rate, again, from those would-be one-time donors into recurring donors. Now, okay, beyond that, we're getting into step two, tactic two here. We've got our donors already in the system, folks who are already supporting us. We want to convert them, again, if they're not already, into our recurring donors. So, of course, through automation, we can do that right from the get-go with our new donor welcome series. A couple of different ways that we might approach this. One, you could start really right off the bat by incorporating some of those impact stories for recurring giving in that initial sequence of communications that folks are getting. So it could be part of that initial email, part of the direct mail that they're getting, or you might say, hey, we're going to have folks kind of receive that initial welcome sequence, but then after they finish that, they're going to get either one additional communication, maybe a whole additional sequence that is dedicated to a specific recurring ask. Again, focus our language very intently on the impact of that recurring gift. Now, alternatively, perhaps additionally, you could also build out a workflow that is dedicated to one, identifying, but then two, converting those existing, we'll say recurring donor candidates into our recurring donors. So in my branch here, it starts off by saying, all right, we're going to cast our net. We're going to identify who our good recurring donor candidates might be. And how you cast that net is probably going to be pretty specific to your fundraising. Maybe we're looking at folks who already give on a particular frequency or a particular cadence, right? Are they giving fairly consistently already? Maybe it's going to be looking at donors who give gifts beyond a certain thresholds, maybe donors whose wealth screening returns a certain level of data. But either way, we've cast our nets. And then it starts that process of saying, hey, we're going to tag them as that potential recurring giving candidate. They're going to get maybe an email regarding the impact of that monthly gift. They're going to get an information packet in the mail before it sends off that text to gear up for a personal phone call with one of our fundraisers, maybe to make that more formal recurring gift ask. So, a lot of different ways that we can start using these tools to just get the ball rolling on building out our recurring giving programs, right? We're building that momentum because the more we can point to those impact stories and say, hey, here is what recurring giving means for us. Here's the impact that makes with our mission. The more our donors are going to want to get involved with it and become recurring donors themselves.